of you have visited a shopping mall recently? I bet almost all of you, despite the absolute ease with which all of us can shop online today, the mall business in India is hotting up again. On the property show today, what's driving the returns of the shopping malls, and is this momentum sustainable in the long term, with technology making it easier by the day to move our entire shopping online? Joining me are Pushpa Bector, Executive Director, DLF Malls. Of course, we all know that DLF runs one of the largest portfolio of malls in India and luxury premium mostly. Also with us, Shibu Philips, Director, Shopping Malls, Lulu Group India, the latest entrant in the mall business, but to be taken seriously because they have very big expansion plans. Abhinav Joshi, Head of Research, CBRE, who has all the data on how the malls are doing. Pushpa, I'm going to start with you. How are the footfalls in DLF malls? Are they back to 2019 level, or are they better than that? I mean, are people doing that revenge shopping that everyone's talking about?
Well, Manisha, the interesting part is, if I look at data, just April to September, the footfall is back to 95%, not 100%. But the sales is 130% at a time when it is, from April to September, it's 130. So we are actually looking at the season very, very differently. We believe that the season's going to take the sales up even more. And I'm looking at a 25% growth in sale at this point. So the interesting part is we're getting serious shoppers who are discovering digitally and shopping physically. So we are in a very interesting zone in that sense.
I'm happy to hear that. I
yes.
mean, maybe footfalls are still at 95%, but the shopping is, of course, happening. Yes. And value-wise, you're about 125% to pre-COVID levels. Yes. Mr. Philip, what's been your experience? I mean, you've got malls now in 5 cities and a mix of Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. How are the footfalls and sales doing?
So, thank you very much, Manisha. Similar numbers, we are also around 94% back in with our footfalls data. But as rightly said, sales have actually grown, and we were at around 124%, around 125% sales, and we are very hopeful by the end of the year it will be close to 29% growth, and that is what we normally see pre-COVID also. That 29% was the growth in sales every year.
Okay. Abhinav, is that what CBRE expected? I mean, you've been tracking retail globally and in India. Is India phenomena very close to what's happening globally, or India being a consumption story is doing better than what maybe developed countries are doing? Can you give us some flavor of that?
I think India, along with other markets around the world, are going through the same curve. Where we're seeing the comeback of physical retail. This is something we had not expected, 2 years back when we were sitting in our homes or under lockdown in 2020. But the comeback has been very strong, and that's largely because, you have a lot of pent-up demand which is coming into the market. There is this entire trend of revenge retail or revenge spending, which is catching up across cities, not just in India, but globally. Of course, in India, it's slightly stronger because I would say the inflationary situation, while the pressure is there, it's not as strong as what we're seeing in some of the other developed or emerging markets. Compared to the kind of inflation levels they've had historically, they're seeing very high inflation. Ours has been mostly, in a 6 to 7% range, and now, of course, it's crossed 7%. But the fact of the matter is, we're seeing the entire millennial generation or the Gen Z generation, they're coming out, they want to innovate, they want to experiment, and they want that experience, the shopping experience, which online retail cannot offer them. So they need that human touch, they need that consultative selling, they need that visual merchandising, and I think that's what's attracting them to physical retail.
And after, I would agree with you. After a while, it gets boring to shop online. I've sensed that, especially when it comes to apparel, and other things. You need that touch, feel, that experience of actually, shopping with physical experience, of course. Let me just go across to Mr. Phillips and ask him, you've got very aggressive plans of actually getting into Tier 2 cities, Mr. Phillips. Why is that? I mean, so far, I think whenever I've spoken to large mall operators, they've said, look, there is not that much business to be had in tier 2 cities. Is something changing? Is the demographics changing? Shopping wave changing? Give us the flavor of why tier 2 cities.
Yes. So what happened is our first mall was in a tier 2 city, and we currently operate 5 malls at 7.2 million square feet. We're developing 12 of them around 6 billion. Why tier 2 cities? Because 65% of our people who shop online are from these tier 3 and small cities. And data also shows that they are growing. And like rightly said, Gen Z crowd in these markets are as fashionable as any other Gen Z population in anywhere in India. So they are discovering it digitally, and they want to also come and look at the retailers. There is an 8.7% growth in people coming to to retail stores now. So that is the reason. And we also saw that quality, infrastructure, grade A shopping malls in these cities are close to 95% occupied. But the other malls are not occupied as much. So there is a lot of opportunity which is thrown in if you come with great infrastructure. And destination properties which provides ample opportunities at various categories, and that is the opportunity we are catching on.
Pushpa, are you also encouraged to look at tier 2 cities now? I mean, DLF has mostly its presence in NCR, and of course, Chandigarh is one of the tier 2 cities you are in. What are your expansion plans? Where will you move next?
Manisha, interestingly, yes, DLF operates in the premium segment. So whenever we have looked at it, we said, is it viable? The good news is that we've started constructing in Goa, an excellent market. We would be looking at doing a 660,000 square feet mall. It's under construction now. And why Goa is because, as you know, during the pandemic, most people from Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore many of them have shifted their homes to Goa. So the target market and the catchment has become very attractive. It's with a high disposable income. On the other hand, local Goans have also become rich. So we thought it's the right time to look at another city other than NCR because the consumption is good. Yes, and we do think that, if you're looking at retail in the DLF portfolio, the interesting thing that's also happening is we're expanding in the offices retail segment. So you go to Chennai, there is a hub at Manapakkam that is launched. And there is another one, very interesting retail project in Taramani, which is our downtown project at the Old Madras Road. So what we are also looking at is coming up with amenities and retail spaces around our office properties, which also makes for a very good test case or test market for an ultimate mall in that city.
Okay.
So
but
Chennai
these are
is
smaller formats, Pushpa, as of now, what you're doing in Chennai?
These would be office amenities. So just 100,000 square feet, focused on what's required from a wellness, from conferencing, from, F&B and amenities retail point of view.
Understood. But
it gives a very good idea of what's working and what's not. And that will also, help us in growing organically within those cities. We are growing in office amenities. We are expanding in the plaza space. Plazas is another interesting, I would say vertical that we've started, which is around our residential communities. So residential communities like DLF Phase 5 or Capital Greens require an anchor in retail, which is a neighborhood plaza. So we're coming up with Midtown as well as Summit Plaza. Both of them are under construction. And these would be around 350,000 square feet each. But frankly, Manisha, the way I look at it is it's our answer to online retailing. So if you have an interesting spot to just, wear your joggers or shorts and just walk up to the next space and touch and feel, you would prefer to do that instead of just going onto your laptop and, Googling what's the next.
It's such an interesting concept. I'll come back to you, Pushpa, but you've just opened a Pandora's box on how to take on online shopping. Mr. Philip is going in tier 2 cities saying everyone there is shopping. So why not malls? And you're saying let's just take the retail space right next door to offices and homes in smaller formats and get people to come there and forget about, or at least, compete full force with online. Abhinav, what do you think? What do you make of this changing nature of the market overall in India? Do you think these are formats which are likely to work? I'm sure you're going to say yes. You can't say no if Pushpa's on air with you.
No, I totally agree. I think these formats will be a big success because we need to understand that India overall is a very under-penetrated market, when it comes to organized physical retail.
Right.
If let's say, compare ourselves to, let's say, a Chinese city like a Beijing or a Shanghai, there you have a retail space of, excess of 100 million square feet in each city. If you look at our 7 cities, all put together, they're not even 100 million. So all 7 cities in India are not equivalent to one Chinese city. So there is a fair amount of demand out there. Our retail density, in cities like Delhi and Mumbai for organized retail will be less than a square foot per person, against the government prescribed norm of at least 9 to 10 square foot per person. So there is a fair amount of demand. You're going to see all kinds of innovative formats that will come up. More importantly, the focus is on how to engage the customer and how to make the entire shopping experience more personalized. And besides shopping, of course, focusing on eating out, community gathering, offering health and personal care services. Also, certain stores or certain malls are also becoming part of the entire omni-channel retail supply chain. So they're becoming like fulfillment centers. So you buy online and you can pick at the store. So at least, you spend some time in the physical store. So a lot of brands are doing that.
Right. Mr. Philip, any interesting insights that you can throw in terms of who are the large occupiers in Lulu malls? And do you think, the MNSs, of course, probably would want to enter tier 2 cities. Would a Zara enter a tier 2 city? I mean, what's been your experience with that? The premium fashion segments, or do you believe that the tenant mix or the brands that are going to be in tier 2 will be very different from the ones which will land in your tier 1 malls?
There is obviously, it's not that it is similar to a city crowd, but there is a shift which is eminently seen. And, the premium fashion retailers are currently looking at entering these markets. And you might be surprised that some of the tier 3 cities have great sales. And, yesterday's Reliance portfolio says that they're growing more in East than in other part of the country. So, so we have the premium retailers who are actually taking most of our space, but obviously predominantly led by the Decathlons, the Uniqlos and, all the Reliance retail formats. And a lot of brands from, because there is a growth happening with respect to the ethnic wear segment. A lot of brands from the Delhi ethnic wear market, Frontieras, Greenways, all are coming and taking space in our Lucknow malls. We can see a lot of regional brands, and that is what some opportunity which we can operate. That there are a lot of regional strength available in all these tier 2 cities, and they are the people who are coming into our malls, and they have this opportunity also to kind of get into the cities. The big cities, because this is the formal way they come in. So the organized retail is very.
We are a very large country, and there are so many, geography specific large brands who would probably be very happy to look at the mall space. Unfortunately, I'm running out of time, but I have to touch the REIT question, and that one I will just toss to Abhinav because I'm sure the others would like to stay away from it. Abhinav, we are hearing, and there is no confirmation of it, that Blackstone might come out with the first REIT with some of the Indian partners like Panchsheel. My question to you is that retail REIT gives individual investors an opportunity to own a little bit of the shopping malls, which they can't individually. But if I see how US retail REITs have done, they've not particularly done anything exciting. I don't know what the yields have been, but they've been very average performers. Do you think a retail REIT, India is ready for a retail REIT? And that will depend on where do you think if this business is sustainable in momentum?
I think India is ready. We've had 3 very successful REITs in office space, retail, and several other sectors, are going to see more REITs for sure. Especially depends upon the portfolio. If it comprises of quality assets, I think it's going to really work out. What you need to note, as far as the US or other developed market REIT performance is concerned, REITs in general have been very subdued in their momentum in the last 2-3 years. And especially in the last 1.5 years, equity markets have been quite volatile. But I was just going through the US retail REIT performance. It's been relatively better compared to performance of office REITs or even industrial REITs. And that's because all the retailers, all the retail developers are doing well. The occupancy levels are upwards of 95%. Rental growth is in positive territory. If you look at their dividend payout, you look at their NOIs, their fund flows or operational performance, it's very healthy. And that's again because of the kind of trend we're seeing in the last 12 months globally. Physical retail is making a huge comeback. So, equity markets have been volatile. I think we will tide through this volatility. I think the time is right for a retail REIT in India.
Okay, I'm going to conclude there, but thank you very much. Such an interesting concept to look at on how retail globally and specifically in India is changing its nature now that you have online shopping to compete with. Thank you, all three of you, for making the time. When we return, we introduce you to Landy.com, a tech platform that allows you to search for property, titles and ownerships, a much required concept in India. Stay with us.